Oh hi. Lausanne, the city in the southwest of Switzerland, the capital of the French-speaking canton of Vaud and the administrative centre of the district Lausanne. The population -138.6 thousand people. May 2013. The fourth largest city of the country. Immigrants make 40% of the population. With an agglomeration 336.4 thousand people live. 2010. It is located in Romandie, on terrace hills at the northern coast of Lake Geneva, in 62 km from Geneva. Lausanne carries a rank of the Olympic capital of the world. Here the headquarters of the International Olympic Committee and numerous international sports federations are located. Location of the Court of Arbitration for Sport and Supreme Court of Switzerland. There are a university, polytechnical school and business school. A main type of public transport, the trolleybus. The only thing works in the country of the subway. The historic centre to the north from the station is entangled by a web of curves and abrupt small streets. On the hillside the medieval castle Saint-Mer and Gothic cathedral Notre Dame. In the lower city St. Francis's Church. On the square I scorch an ancient town hall. The rivers are cleaned in underground collectors, bridges of a Sukaputna. To the south from the station Ushi embankment. In the ancient time on the place of Lausanne there was a settlement which in the 1st century BB received the Roman name Lausanne. Since the 6th century was the episcopal city under the power of the European states. In the 16th century after gain by Bern entered into the Swiss Union, the Reformation is entered. In 1803 became the capital of the canton of Vaud. History. The most ancient traces of stay of the person in the territory of Lausanne belong to the 6th millennium BB. Hunting and collecting were major activities of primitive people in forests on the bank of Lake Geneva. In the 20th century on the place of their dwelling burials with the remains laid on the left side were found. The found weapon, products from ceramics and bronze belong BB to the 2 millennium. Cremation traces at burial of deceased. And also pies walled huts with a straw roof. The name presumably comes from the Celtic personal name which value is disputable. It agrees one of versions, it comes from the word lossa meaning a flat stone. According to other version from the Celtic personal name Lassius and Dun, strengthening fortress. The name of the ancient Roman settlement was opened in 1739. On the place of modern Lausanne in the ancient time there was a settlement of Galvat which was located on the hill. In the 58th year B.C. Julius Caesar subdued the earth of Galvat. The first mention of the military camp built by Romans which they called Lausanne belongs BB to the 15th year. The Roman settlement was located in 200 meters from the coast of Lake Geneva. Nowadays urban area of VD. The area lay at the important intersection of the tradeways connecting through the Alpine Pass Great St. Bernard Italy with Balia. Lausanne had the sizes of 1.2 km of length and 250 meters of width, about 20 hectares. The population reached 2,000 people. In the settlement there was a port, a forum, a basilica and theatre. The basis of the population was made by merchants, fishermen and handicraftsmen. Except military function, the city was carried out by a role of the trade port connected with the Carthage. Through Lausanne, business in an amphora from the Mediterranean, and also was done Geneva. In the 2nd century the settlement reached the highest blossoming. Coastal Lausanne's role began to fall because of permanent invasions of the German tribes in the 3rd century, which destroyed the city about 260. In the middle of the 4th century, in connection with the become frequent German invasions, the city on this place was abandoned and moved on safer hills lying above over the lake. The settlement on the hillside received the Roman Lausanne's name. Ruins of the Roman settlement at the lake began to be used as a stone quarry. In the 6th century of the earth of Lausanne were a part of the Frankish state. In the same century the first church in honor of Saint Fers is constructed, and the bishop's throne Maria Avanchskaga was transferred to Lausanne from Avanch, who fell into decay. After it in Lausanne more than 50 bishops ruling the city nearly 1,000 years before the Berngain of 1536 were replaced. In the same time, in the neighborhood of site there is the lower city. After disintegration of the empire of Charles the Great in the 9th century, the city appeared in the kingdom of Burgundy. In City Cathedral there took place the crowning and burial of the Burgundian kings. Gradually they provided to bishops the wide power over secular affairs, in particular the right of collection of duties, penalties and stamping of coins. At this time in the city the area appeared Iscorch, Burr Street, St. Lavrenti's Church. In the 10th century the Annals of Lausanne was formed. Since 1032, after fading of the Burgundian dynasty, the city together with Burgundy was a part of the Sacred Roman Empire. Bishops of Lausanne are allocated with the status of imperial princes. Within 2 next centuries the city stayed in a condition of anarchy. Bishops and the nobility clashed with each other. In the 12th century of the earth of Lausanne and Geneva sent to the German sorcerer enough. At this time on perimeter to the city the strengthening walls which stayed till the 19th century were constructed. Dominicans and Franciscans who were engaged in wine growing lodged in Lausanne. At the end of the 12th century St. Ione and St. Nicolas hospitals are open. In 1218 the earth of the modern canton of Vaud departed in ownerships of Counts Savoy. Lausanne remained the episcopal city. In the fire 1374 houses were destroyed on August 8, 1219. The same year the population of Lausanne reached the peak -9,000 people, then till the 17th century the city stayed in decline. In 1224 there was a conflict between the bishop and citizens. In the second half of the 13th century in the city new monasteries appeared. Franciscans in 1258, Abbey of Cistercians in 1267, Dominicans in 1280. From 1282 to 1313 armed conflicts between the bishop and citizens broke up. In 1360 the first record of the notary is made. During the outbreaks of plague in 1348 and 1360 about 1/3 population of the city died up. In the fire of 1368 the most part of the city burned down. In 1337 the first census of taxpayers is made. In 1405 in the fire burned out the quarters of Pont and Palio. In 1472-1476 as the Lausanne bishop served Giuliano della Rovere, which later became the Pope. During the Burgundian Wars in 1475-1476 Lausanne was besieged and plundered by troops of the Swiss Confederation with the participation of Bern, Fribourg and Solothurn. On July 6, 1481 there was a consolidation site in the lower city consisting of quarters Scorch, the Drill, Pont and Saint Laurent to one city. In 1497 the monastery of Carmelites is founded. In 1525 the defensive alliance with Bern and Fribourg was concluded. In 1527 there was consolidation of archives site and the lower city in a town hall on the square Scorch, which became the center of public life. In 1529 the burgomaster's position is founded. At the end of the middle of the 17th centuries in the city there took place witch hunt. Since the 15th century there took place trials of witches. In 1479 in the city there took place trial of bugs. In 1669 in Lausanne the last fire is lit. In the Middle Ages control was exercised of the Lausanne Episcopate and Dukes of Savoy, but during the Reformation access of Savoyets to the territory of the modern canton of Vaud was blocked by Geneva, and in 1536 the city passed under the power of Dukes of Bern, under whose control it also remained till 1700. The power of bishops was abolished. The last Lausanne bishop Sebastian de Montfaucon ran to Savoy. Then Lausanne lost political value, having turned into the country town. From now on Lausanne Seymour, who occupied the former residence of Bishops de Lac, operated the deputy of Bern. Except that the city council worked. From 1536 to 1559 in Lausanne Pierre Weyer preached the Reformation. In 1698 by results of the conducted population census in the city there were over 6,000 inhabitants, including more than 1,000 refugees of Huguenots. By the end of the 18th century Lausanne became the fifth largest city of Switzerland. On March 31, 1723 there was a People's Liberation Revolt against Bern power under leadership of the Major Daval. The city council did not support risen and called troops from Bern. After suppression of a revolt, Daval was executed. In 1737 in Lausanne the consistory was founded. In 1766 in a city town hall Mozart's concert was held. After the revolution in France many French noblemen emigrated to the canton of Vaud. In 1795 there took place construction of the embankment in Yers. Till the 19th century in Lausanne spoke Franco-Provençalski language. On July 7, 1791 supporters of independence of the canton of Vaud celebrated the second anniversary of capture of the Bastille, then arrests followed. Amadeus Lagarde, sentenced to death, fled to France. On November 22, 1797 citizens welcomed Napoleon passing through Lausanne. As a result of Napoleonic Wars on January 24, 1798 in Lausanne the Limansky Republic was proclaimed. From April 12, 1798 to 1803 was a part of the Helvetichesky Republic. On February 19, 1803 Lausanne with the population in 9965 inhabitants became the capital of the educated canton of Vaud, which joined the Swiss Confederation. In the summer of 1803, with adoption of the cantonal law on municipal authority in Lausanne, the city council consisting of 17 members was founded. In the letter to the Emperor Alexander I of 1805, Lagarde called Lausanne the ugly and unpleasant city. In 1816, in the city, epidemic of smallpox and the hunger caused by a climate cold snap on the continent raged. In 1841, at the expense of the artist Louis Arlo, the first art museum of the city is open. In 1846, the first gas lamps appeared. In 1856, the railroad came to the city. At the beginning of 1919, Lausanne, along with Geneva, was considered as the location of the headquarters of future League of Nations. In 1922-1923 in Lausanne, the International Conference on Peaceful Settlement took place. In 1932 there took place the Lausanne Conference, at which the agreement on the redemption was accepted Germany of the reparation obligations following the results of World War I. From 1932 to 1937 the city endured the Great Depression. In 1949 the International Conference, which purpose was a completion of the Arab-Israeli War and settlement of the conflict in Palestine, took place. In 1964 in the city there took place the Swiss National Expo exhibition. In 1989 in Lausanne there took place the song contest Eurovision. Lausanne, as other large cities of Switzerland, is located in a country midland, on a slope of the Swiss plateau at the northern coast of Lake Geneva, in 62 km to the northeast of Geneva. Lausanne also is on border of the winemaking areas of Lavaux and La Cotte. In vicinities the resort area, Vodyarsky Riviera, is located. As well as in other Switzerland, the hour zone of the Central European Time works. Shift of rudder world coordinate time is +1:00 in the summer, +2:00 hours in the winter. The square of the city -41.37 km. Urban development in 1997 occupied 42.9% of the space, the woods -39.6%, agricultural grounds -17.3%. Lausanne can be bypassed on foot. City extent in the width and meridian directions is only about 4 kilometers. Earth height sea level is from 373 to 871 meters. Portiers -374 m, the center -495 m, the Blecheret Airport -600 m. For an abrupt hilly relief, Lausanne is called by the Swiss San Francisco. The highest point, Chalet Gobe, 872 meters above sea level, located in Mountain Zora. The city from three parties borders on the West Lausanne district, districts Goros, Diwa and Oran. The western border is adjoined by the 5th municipal units of the district Lausanne. César-sur-Lausanne, Epelenche, Schuten-Mézary, Mont-sur-Lausanne, Romanel-sur-Lausanne. The Lausanne region of Vernon forms an exclave to the west from the city. Through the city 4 rivers entering the basin of Rhone flow. Flan, Love, Vieux Asher and Rayol. Once Flan proceeded on the gorge in the downtown on the course to modern Central Street. Till the 19th century of the Flan and Love River were city ditches. So far the Flan and Love rivers are cleaned in underground tunnels. Rayol and Flan's waters, who partially goes to the system of the city's stormwater drainage system, fall into the Vieux Asher River. In the northern part of an underground parking at Ripon Square, the part of the underground course is open and it is possible to see the proceeding flan. The southern part of the city is limited to mouths of the Vieux Asher and Chamberan rivers. On the bank of Lake Geneva within the city parks, beaches, the embankment, the small port and harbors for the parking of yachts are located. Climate of Lausanne continental, coming influence of the Atlantic Ocean. Average temperature within a year fluctuates from +3 C in the winter up to +20 C in the summer. Extreme temperatures can reach from 10 C to +37 C. Sunshine duration 1763 hours in a year. Average annual speed of wind 1.8 m/s. Average annual relative humidity 71.7%. The city is located in the 8th zone of frost resistance. Northeast wind under the influence of an Asian anticyclone brings with itself cold air. Southwest wind from Atlantic brings damp air masses. Dry wind of local origin, the hair dryer makes the cooling impact. The proximity of Lake Geneva mitigates air temperature in the winter and cools it in the summer. The winter is rather cold. Snow drops out from December to March. The driest month of year, February. The summer is warm with changeable weather. The maximum of rainfall fall on August. The fall dry and solar comes in September, the beginning of October. The seal of the city represents the board consisting of horizontal strips of red color below and white above. The option of decoration of a board by lions on each side, holding a board and a crown in 4 paws is allowed. The city logo approved by municipality in 1998 represents 7 red spheres located under a oblique angle to the horizon with an inscription of the name of the city under them. The flag of the city represents a rectangular panel from 2 horizontal strips. Top, white and lower, big ornament, red flowers. On the coins minted in Lausanne from the permission of the Burgundian King Rudolph III since the beginning of the 11th century, the equilateral cross was represented. The municipal coat of arms of the 17th century was often represented in the form of 3 boards. 2 identical boards inclined to each other consisting of 2 horizontal strips of white and red colors from above the board with the image of a 2-headed eagle of the sacred Roman Empire of black color on a yellow background relied on them. As option, decoration of the coat of arms 2 lions, relying hinder legs on 2 lower boards and holding with 4 paws the top board and an imperial crown on it. In the 19th century, the imperial symbol of an eagle was replaced with the Swiss cross. Population. Lausanne, the 4th largest city of Switzerland and the 2nd on Lake Geneva. The population in May 2013 made 138,634 people. 40% of residents of Lausanne have no Swiss citizenship. 2011. Including Portuguese -7%, the French -7%, Italians -5%, Spaniards -3%, Kosovars -1%, Serbians and Montenegrins -1% and other. On language accessory. 79% of French-speaking inhabitants, 4% of German-speaking, 4% Italo-Yazychny. In 2008, 623 newborns from parents of foreigners were the share of 840 newborn indigenous Swisses. The age structure in 2009 consisted of 19.1% of children and teenagers up to 19 years, 16.8% of youth up to 29 years, 43.1% of persons of mature age up to 59 years, 20.1% of old men, and 0.9% of long livers of 90 years. In 2000 there were only 79.25 residential buildings, from which 45.9% fell on apartment and 23.1% for private houses. The greatest number of private houses was constructed during the period from 1919 to 1945, apartment till 1945. In apartment houses the greatest distribution was gained by 3-roomed apartments. The average cost of renting of 1-room apartment in 2003 was 597 francs. According to Federal Management of Statistics of Switzerland, 70 communes of the canton of Vaud are a part of agglomeration of Lausanne. The population of the agglomeration, the 5th largest in the country, makes 336.4 thousand people. 2010. Within 27 communes of the canton of Vaud since 2007 the project of agglomeration Lausanne Walrus, with the population of 278,000 people, is implemented. 40% of all population of the canton live in agglomeration. Lausanne, the Walrus, Rhenan and Puy are recognized its central cities. The project of agglomeration is created for collaborative planning of road and transport infrastructure, the housing estate, and decrease in environmental pollution. Among priorities, development of public transport, preserving of green plantings, prevention of further spread of the housing estate and its consolidation. Project implementation of agglomeration is calculated till 2023. Its budget on the terms of joint financing of Confederation is planned of 1.6 billion Swiss francs. In particular, by 2017 start of the tourist tram which will connect the centre of Lausanne with Rhenan is planned. The project of the French-Swiss metropolitan region of Métropole Lémanique, with the population about 1.2 million people, includes territories of cantons in Geneva and the adjacent to Geneva urbanized regions of France. In 2007 the governments of 2 cantons signed the charter about commitment to the project of cross-border agglomeration. In 2011 cantons signed the agreement on development and project implementation, which should strengthen the weight and competitiveness of the region on coast of Lake Geneva. Problems which the cities and cantons in such areas as transport connection, housing construction, land use and infrastructure in the conditions of the developed jurisdictions face form the basis for development of bilateral cooperation. Confederations, cantons and municipalities. New territorial education is considered as the second economic region of Switzerland after Zurich. Power. Lausanne is the capital of the canton of Vaud. In the city governing bodies of the canton of Vaud, and since 1875, the Supreme Court of Switzerland are placed. The local government consists of representative body, city council from 100 members elected or carried out on the system of proportional representation for 5 years, and executive body, the mayor's office consisting of 7 members headed by the chairman. The mayor's office consists of 7 managements, which part 37 operating units are. In 2011, for the third time, the party member Green Danielle Brella, which term of office comes to an end in 2016, is elected the mayor. Seats in City Council were distributed as follows: 29 Socialists, 24 Liberals, 20 Green, 14 members of Centrists and 13 Left. Expenses of the city budget for 2012 are planned of 1.8 billion Swiss francs. Among diplomatic organizations: consulates of Austria, Bolivia, Morocco, Panama, Senegal, Finland, France, Sweden, Ecuador. General Consulство of Italy, Costa Rica, Philippines. Association of Spanish and Culture in Lausanne and the Spanish Labor Office. Honorable Consulate of Russia. Since 1964, to the people who glorified by the creativity the city and also the canton. The award of Lausanne is awarded. The largest employers of the city are the Clinical Center of the University of Lausanne, City Administration and the Government of the Canton. Other large organizations: the University and the Tile Company managing public transport. The service industry is made by banks, insurance companies, management, transport and tourism. The industry of the city is concentrated in the sphere of construction, mechanical engineering, metalworking, production of food and tobacco, exact mechanics, electronics and optics, and also graphic works, seal and publishing. In Lausanne, the headquarters of a number of the large companies is placed. Producer of the packing equipment Bobst Group, medical company Agent Holding, financial broker company Financier Tradition, Edipress Media Company, investment energy company Yes Holding, producer of Buckle Holding Jewelry, Landolt and CIE Managing Company, advertising public group, insurance Rodweiss Assurances, operational office of tobacco giant Philip Morris International and also cantonal bank Bakivi. In Lausanne annually passes the international exhibitions of microtechnologies, art and jewelry skill. Exhibition of Pets of Animalia, Festival of the Japanese Anime and Manga Polymanga, Exhibition of Restaurateurs of Gastronomia, Exhibition of Modern Medicine Mednat, Fair of Antiques Antiques Fair and others. In 2011, Lausanne was included into the top 10 of the most expensive cities of the world for foreigners, having outstripped London and Paris. The low wage is 4.2 thousand francs a month in hotel-restaurant business. The highest -10,000 francs in financial sector. By the number of crimes per capita, Lausanne takes the second place in Switzerland after Geneva. In Lausanne, key organizations on management of the Olympic movement and the international sport, including the International Court of Arbitration for Sport, the World Union of the Olympic Cities, the headquarters of the International Olympic Committee since 1915, the European Representative Office of the World Anti-Doping Agency, and also 20 international sports federations, including volleyball, gymnastics, rowing, table tennis, fencing. The International Union of Skaters are concentrated. International Aeronautical Federation. Besides, near Lausanne there is headquarters of the Union Cycliste Internationale, the International Motorcycle Federation and OEA. For cooperation of sports federations in 2006 through joint efforts of the Olympic Committee, cantonal and municipal authorities created the International House of Sport. Since 2000, the International Academy of Sports Science and Technology in the field of education and scientific research functions. In 1994, Lausanne was entitled the Olympic Capital of the World. The sports sector of economy provides about 1,400 jobs and brings to Shefch 200 million income per year. Municipal infrastructure. The electric power is made for the city generally on hydroelectric power station in the lava on the river Rhone, and 60 km to the south from Lausanne, of which about 40% of the electric power during the summer period and 25% in winter year. TPRD plan using natural gas. The Tridal incineration plant opened in 2006, 160,000 tons of garbage in a year, and also solar batteries. For a deficiency covering the electric power is purchased at other producers in the Swiss and European markets. The Siren company was founded by municipality in 2009 for development of renewables. Solar, wind, geothermal and energy of biomass. Lausanne is included into the European Association on Energy Efficiency of Municipalities of Energy Cities. Its centralized heat supply extends to buildings in the form of hot water through network of underground pipelines with a total length of 100 km. The first water pump station was opened in 1932 in Lutry. Sources of water supply of Lausanne are behind city boundaries. 60% of water get from Lake Geneva on water intakes into Lutry and St. Sulpice, 15% from the Lake Bray and several kilometers to the east from the city, 25% from other sources. Irrespective of a source, water is exposed to disinfecting by chlorine. Extent of water supply systems minus 337 km. The amount of the consumed water is 12.6 mol/nem in a year. The city sewer treatment facilities located within the city near VD were put into operation in 1964. Process about 45 mol/nem sewage in a year. A distributor of natural gas, mainly Norwegian origin, the Swiss company Gasnat acts. Lausanne, the large transport hub in the south of Switzerland. For a long time through the city the road connecting Geneva with Bern ran. The regional airport Blescheret is located on the northern outskirts of the city. The nearest international airport is in Geneva. The shipping company of CNE performs passenger traffic on all cities of Lake Geneva both in the tourist purposes and for a crossing. From the railway station of Lausanne, passenger and high-speed trains in 4 directions of Switzerland go to Bern, Geneva, Olten and Domodossola. And also trains of TEV network to Paris and Milan. This station is located between Lake Geneva and downtown. The modern building of the station in modernist style was built in 1916 on the place of the former station built in 1856. The building belongs and is operated by the Swiss railroads. Also cargo station Sebian works. From the underground station Lausanne Flon local electric trains on Berscher go. The line passes across the narrow gauge railroad 24 km long, opened in 1872. In city boundaries also the Lausanne Schuderen station is located. The trains plying on the line Lausanne-Berscher are served by the railway company LEP. The passenger traffic in 2010 made 2.9 million people. By 2016, start of railway communication of RER which will connect Lausanne with Geneva and the border areas of France is planned. Public transport consists generally of trolleybuses and also buses, the subway and local trains. The tile company, which largest owner is the municipality, manages the system of public transport. Length of route network is 173 km. The park of the rolling stock in 2009 had 58 trolleybuses, 35 jointed trolleybuses, 7 buses, 59 jointed buses, 6 two-storied buses, 24 buses using liquefied natural gas. In a year on the city, 93 million passengers are transported. The rolling stock of public transport has a white-blue coloring. The Lausanne trolleybus forms the network, oldest and largest in Switzerland. It was opened in 1932 and gradually replaced with himself. The tram plying from 1896 to 1964. Both the single and jointed trolleybuses work at 10 routes. Because of a hilly relief of the city, the tram is considered not the profitable and sluggish type of transport for Lausanne. Between Flon and Rheinen by 2018 it is going to build the tram line. The Lausanne subway, only in Switzerland. Lausanne, the smallest city in the world having the subway. The subway has 2 lines. Trains consist of 2 cars. M line opened in 1991 represents the light subway and reminds the high-speed tram, consists of 15 stations. Square. M line. The project was approved on a referendum. Was open in 2008, having replaced earlier existing funicular. The line, about 6 km long, passes in the basic underground. The height difference is 375 meters, consists of 14 stations. Transit time in the end makes 18 minutes of the end. Trains on the line move on tire to the course without motor under force of gravitation and are run by automatic equipment without driver. Project development of M line, which will connect the city airport Blecheret with the railway station, is planned. Bicycle rental is organized by network of self-service Velopass and the railway station of Lausanne. Education. In Lausanne, 5 initial and 7 high comprehensive schools work. Among professional and higher educational institutions: International Academy of Sport of Science and Technology, Institute of Public Administration, Teacher Training College, School of Communications, Marketing and Public Relations of Polycom, School of the Dance, Rudra, Vocational Schools of Business, Electronics, Business Administration, Social Pedagogics and Healthcare, Medical, Engineering Schools. And also conservatory, musical, theatrical, art schools. The University of Lausanne is founded, in 1890. Originates from formation of the Lausanne School in 1537, later turned into Academy of Lausanne. In 1970, the 1990th years, the university moved from the historic center to the western suburb of Dorigny. Lectures are given generally in French. Consists of 7 faculties. Sciences about earth and environment, biology and medicine, the right and criminal justice, business and economy, social and political sciences, arts, theology and religious studies, Office of Humanitarian and Mathematical Sciences. The Center for Cancer Research works. At the university, over 11,000 students study, about 2,000 teachers work. The cantonal and university library contains nearly 2 million documents. The École Polytechnique Fédérale de Lausanne, EPFL, is founded in 1946. Together with the university is located in the suburb of Dorinya. Consists of 7 faculties: Fundamental Sciences, Natural Sciences and Engineering Methods, Surrounding Environment and Ecological Engineering, Informatics and Communication Systems, Biology, Humanitarian and Social Sciences, Managements. In educational institution, over 8,000 students study, about 1,000 teachers work. The budget of higher education institution makes nearly 735 million Swiss francs. 2010. The International Institute of Managerial Development, IMD. The International Business School is founded in 1990. It is focused on work of graduates in the industry. Training is conducted in English. Training in the MBA program is 10 months. 80% of revenues of educational institution are the share of open and corporate programs for top managers of global business. His School of Hotel Management of Lausanne, the oldest in the world, is founded in 1893. Training of bachelors lasts 4 years. Training is conducted in the English and French languages. The Rutgers School Studio was opened by Maurice Bijard in 1992 and is a successor of the previous school of the choreographer, or Wise, existing in Brussels in 1970-1988. Here, on a competitive basis, the teenagers at the age of 16, 19 years who are professionally engaged in the ballet are accepted. The training, lasting 2 years, is free for all pupils, regardless of their nationality and nationality. The Business School of Lausanne, Sciences, a private higher educational institution, is founded in 1987. Takes the 3rd place among the relevant educational institutions in Switzerland and the 28th place in Europe. And Lausanne broadcasts local TV channel La Télé and also the Geneva Radio Television Suisse and Television Suisse Romandie. Local radio stations Alfie and Rouge FM. Medicine. The University Hospital Center of the Canton of Vaud. In abbreviated form CHAV. On 1428 beds is the public medical institution, one of 5 university clinics of Switzerland, along with hospitals of Bern, Zurich, Basel and Geneva. It is located in the hospital town to the north from the historic center. Organization total over 9,000 employees. Includes 12 offices, including psychiatric. At hospital, the office of the Swiss Institute of a Pilot Study of Cancer, the Bern Center work. Also Children's Hospital, Orthopedic Hospital of the Western Switzerland and Eye Hospital of Jules Gonen are open. 6 private clinics offer the versatile treatment combining therapy and surgery. USF, entering into the largest Swiss network of Hirslanden clinics, Cecile, Lassaus, Lemonic, Munchausen, Lonzer. The USF Clinic. On 75 places. Specializes in treatment of sharp diseases. The Cecile Clinic. On 97 places. Specializes in abdominal and general surgery, cardiovascular and neurosurgery. In addition, the clinic performs operations on plastic and reconstructive surgery. The Center of Artificial Insemination works. The Lausanne Clinic. On 120 places. Specializes in laparoscopy, also renders treatment of sharp diseases. Montreal's. On 53 places. Specializes in the general surgery and orthopedics. The Office of Laser Cosmetology is opened. The Lausanne Clinic. On 15 places. Specializes on reconstruction of extremities. Sport. Near VD stadiums, Juan Antonio Samaranca and Pierre de Coubertin, and also several pools and football fields, places for playing hockey, basketball and beach volleyball are located. The second sports zone is located in the north of the city, with the already located stadiums, Beaugental, Marigny, and the main football arena, the Olympic Stadium, Olympique de la Pontas, by the name of the district of the same name of the city. On more than 15,000 places. In the suburbs there is a golf course. In Lausanne 330 local sports societies and clubs work. The football club Lausanne was founded in 1896. The club was a 7-time champion of Switzerland, plays in the highest league of the Swiss soccer. The other professional sports, the hockey club Lausanne, founded in 1922, baseball, Indians, club of the American soccer Lucaf, basketball Lausanne M, club of gymnasts of Lausanne Amis Gymnasts. Near VD, the Lausanne Sports Aviron Club founded in 1878 in the area years. The Lausanne Club founded in 1916 is engaged in rowing. The Lausanne Marathon, which passes every fall, includes not only a classical distance in 4:21.95 m, but also a set of distances for less hardy fans of run and also semi-marathons for disabled wheelchair invalids and fans of roller skates. The distance of a competition passes along Lake Geneva to the town of Tour-de-Pales, where marathoners are developed, and through 21 kilometers finish in Lausanne. The running of 20 kilometers of Lausanne is held with assistance of the Olympic Committee every spring. Runners start near VD, run on city quarters to Cathedral Notre Dame, 536 m above sea level, and then go down back to the coast of the lake, where they finish at Stadium of Pierre de Coubertin, 375 m above sea level. At the Olympic Stadium regularly there take place professional competitions on track and field athletics of athleticism. In Lausanne there studied the FIFA World Cups in 1954, on ice hockey in 1961, on badminton in 1995, on figure skating in 1997, in artistic gymnastics in 1997, the Figure Skating European Championships in 1992 and 2002. The Olympic Games in Lausanne were never held, but the 3 Winter Youth Olympic Games are planned for 2020. Culture. In Lausanne, the Museum of History of the city, the Cantonal Museum of Archaeology and History, Museum of Fine Arts, the Cantonal Museum of Geology, the Roman Museum VD, the Museum of Inventions, the Museum of Design and Modern Applied Art, the Museum of Primitive Art, the Museum of Coins, the Cantonal Museum of Botanical Gardens, the Museum of Bolo Computers of Polytechnical Schoolwork. The Museum of Fine Arts, the largest art collection of the city from 9,000 exhibits, the most ancient of which treat an era of ancient Egypt. Large collection of works of the Swiss masters of the 18th-19th centuries. Includes rare self-portraits of Jean Hubert. It is located in Reuman's Palace. The Olympic Museum was opened in 1993. Contains 10,000 exhibits showing the history of development of the Olympic sport. The Elisiski Museum is devoted to the photo. The meeting contains over 100,000 exhibits. The Museum Hermitage contains 600 exhibits of one's private collection on one of country houses of the city presented to the city by owners in 1976. In the museum regularly there take place exhibitions of private collections. The Museum of Design was opened in 2000. Possesses a meeting of ancient Egyptian and ancient Chinese exhibits, a collection of modern products from glass. The Museum Art Brut located in Beaulieu-Loch is devoted to works of art, created by the insane and criminals or too brute. The collection was collected by the French artist Jean Dubuffet and presented to the city. The Film Archive of Switzerland. Since 1948. Containing photo and video content and also printed media. The Zoo and Vivarium containing over 200 species of lizards, scorpions, tarantulas, crocodiles, turtles and other animals, and also the biggest collection of venomous snakes in Europe are open. Among regular actions: a spring carnival since 1996, the International Festival of Animated Films since 2005. Theaters. In the 18th century in the city there were not less than 18 theaters, however the permanent theatrical company in Lausanne was not. The going-on tour actors came from other cities of Switzerland and Europe. With opening of 8 theatrical season, performances were given almost daily. So 80 performances were given from November 6, 1782 to January 18, 1783, 46 of which were opera. From 1804 to 1859 the comedy theatre on which stage opera representations were given was the main scenic site of the city. In 1871 on Titelny Avenue it was opened for casino theatre. Known also as Jarzetta's Hall, it was ornated in the Italian style. During reconstruction of 1931, after which the theatre opened under the name the Municipal Opera and Theatre, there was an orchestra pit, and all decor was replaced with new, in style of Art Deco. Since 1984 the theatre carries the name Opera of Lausanne. The Beaulieu Theatre was opened on November 19, 1954 by a concerted orchestra of Romance, Switzerland under control of Ernest and Serm. The building designed by the architect Marcel Meyer is calculated on 1845 places and still is the largest theatrical site of Switzerland. Since 1973 in Lausanne there takes place the annual Ballet Tender Prize of Lausanne. Since 1975 it is carried out in the building of this theatre. Since 1964 the ballet troupe of Maurice Bujard, the ballet of the 20th century, regularly appeared on stage of Beaulieu. In 1987 she moved from Brussels to Lausanne, having occupied the building located in the neighborhood with theatre. In this connection changed the name for the Ballet of Lausanne. Since 1992 the Free Vocational School of the Dance, Rudra, called by Bujard by name one of forms of the Indian god Shiva, works here. After the death of the choreographer in 2007 the troupe was headed by the dancer Gilles Roman. Mitchell Gasker manages school. The VD Theatre was placed in the building built in 1964 on the project of the Zurich architect Max Bill for the Expo exhibition. In this theatre Maurice Bujardt, Robert Wilson, Luc Bondy, Peter Brook, Rezo Gabriadze, Christian Lupe, James Thiers, Heiner Goebbels worked. Religion. In 2011 in Lausanne, from total number of believers there were 34% of Catholics, 21% of Protestants, 7% of Muslims, 2% of Orthodox Christians. The Cathedral Notre Dame in the street. Francis's church, constructed in the 13th century, the oldest cult constructions. Street Reformed Church. The Reformed Church of St. Lavrenti in neoclassical style is constructed in 1762. In the building often there take place organ concerts. With introduction of the Reformation in 1536, monasteries of Lausanne were closed. After 4 centuries, in 1835 the first Catholic Saint Church of the Virgin Valentine was open. In total in the city there are 9 receipts of Reformed Church and 11 receipts of the Catholic Diocese of Lausanne, Geneva and Fribourg. The synagogue, constructed in 1910 at the expense of the French banker. The mosque was opened in 2008 and became the third after Zurich and Geneva. Receipts of the Serbian, Greek and Romanian Orthodox churches work. The Russian Orthodox Church is in the suburb of Puy. Architecture. Lausanne is divided into 17 areas which, in turn, are subdivided into 81 quarters. At different times the city boundaries included several villages, including Eers and Vd. For 2007 in the city there were 1303 streets. Together with the areas. The main pedestrian street, the Drill, representing the narrow street of luxurious shops. In Lausanne there are 46 objects of cultural heritage of national value, among which, a remaining balance of the Roman settlement near Vd, Bellairs Tower, Schoteren Bridge, the railway station, Monrepo Park and others. The oldest architectural construction are the Roman Lausanne's ruins at the coast of Lake Geneva. The oldest city map was published by the Wodjowski artist David Butte in 1638. In 1642 there was a city map close to Butte's plan made by the Swiss engraver Mathis Miriam Starsham. Regular town planning plans were adopted in 1897, 1911, 1942 and current in 1996. The unusual scope was reached by construction in the period of a great era of the end of the beginnings of the 20th centuries. The city moved ahead to the lake and to the east from St. Francis Square. Development of tourism and shipping company led to emergence in once fishing small village use of luxury hotel and ship docks. In 1886 in the town of Montbenon, on the project of the Wodjowski architect Benz Hamann record in the Palace of Justice in style of the French Renaissance is built. At the end of the 19th century, thanks to works of the architect Francis Izos in Lausanne, there is first, skyscraper in neo-Gothic style, Mercios House, buildings of cantonal banks on St. Francis's areas in Schoteren, Hotel de Locqueuse. On projects of the architect Eugene Yost at St. Francis Square in 1900 the city post office is constructed, monuments to William Tell, to Alexander Wynne and to the Major Davil are established. Works of the architect Alphonse Laverier, the author of numerous works in Lausanne, among which were the share of the first half of the 20th century. Schoteren Bridge. It is constructed in 1905. A facade of the railway station of Lausanne. 1916. The building of the Supreme Court of Switzerland. 1927. A 16-story Tower of Belor. 1931. The historic center is located in the north of the city and includes the hillside and the lower city located under it, in turn, the drill. The 9th century. Consisting of hills and Saint Laurent. The 11th century. Quarters I scorch also pawn. Two side. Treats the 6th century. The Gothic Cathedral Notre Dame with chimeras on a roof which along with St. Francis's Church, is an architectural dominant of Lausanne is placed. The old Palace of Bishops with 8 towers at Mer. The 14th century. A cathedral square served as the residence of the Lausanne bishops till 1431. Since 1918 in the building the City Historical Museum is placed. The Luxembourg in the form of the massive cubic building was constructed on the place of the former monastery and served as the residence of bishops in 1431-1536. It was constructed at the beginning of the 15th century. At the end of the 18th century the lock 2 floors were built on. Now in the building governing bodies of the canton of Vaud and the City Historical Museum are located. At the lock the monument to Jean Daville, to the leader of a Vaudyarski revolt against Bern domination in 1723 is established. The Academy building, built at the end of the 16th century as School of Divinity, serves as the location of a cantonal gymnasium now. The old hospital was constructed in the 18th century. From west side is adjoined by the largest old town square Ripon. Its emergence on the plates of the Gorge Louve in 1812-1840 was caused by need for creation of the new market as the medieval area Eiskorch became too small for the city, which received the status of the cantonal capital. In 1906 on the square Reumann's Palace in style of the Florentine Renaissance in which the university was placed was built. The building was built to the money bequeathed to the city by Gabriel Reymann. The author, the French architect Gaspard André. Now in the building 5 city museums and library are located. The area Eiskorch treats the 9th century. It is built up with houses of the 18th-19th centuries. In the middle of the area there is a Collar Justice fountain. A column with a statue in Themis's image were created by Nevshatelski masters of the end of the 16th century. At legs of the goddess of justice the father submitting to her, the emperor, the sultan and magistrate are located. The old town hall with clock tower in style of the Renaissance decorated with arcades and dragons was constructed in 1675 on the place former. From the area to Notre Dame the covered market ladder which received the name on the medieval market which was here abruptly rises. St. Francis Square, which received the name from the church of the same name, is the central square of the city. Until the end of the 19th century of the area the buildings demolished for laying of the tram line stood still. In 1900 opposite to church the building of Mail was built. The building of Cantonal Bank Bakivi stands nearby. To the area there is a facade of trade galleries of Saint Francois. Around the Saint Laurent there is a tower 21 meter high of La Baume which remained from medieval strengthenings of the city. Old arch bridges in the downtown are located in the valley of the Flon River which proceeds underground today. are used by cars and pedestrians. Bolshoi Bridge is located in the downtown. Connects St. Francis Square and Beller. It is constructed of a stone in 1844. Originally bore a name of the author of the project Bisher. Till 1874 had two levels of arches 25 meters high. Under the bridge the Flan River flew. Later, thanks to the sizes, length of 175 m, height of 13 m, received the name of Bolshoi Bridge. Southern Bridge is located to the west of Bolshoi Bridge. It is constructed of reinforced concrete in 1905. Has length of 250 meters. On the sides of the bridge decorative poles are established. Consists of two parallel arch designs with flight over them. Stylizované lamps under a modernist style. Bessier Bridge is located to the east of Bolshoi Bridge. It is constructed of cast steel in 1910. Has length of 120 m, height of 23 m. It is called in honor of the banker patron Charles Bessier. On the sides of the bridge decorative poles 11 meters high are established. In 2007 the lower metro bridge of Square and line of St. Martin was built in bridge footings. Green zones. On Hill Soverbellen, near historical the downtown, located the oak wood with the artificial lake and the park the Hermitage. A site of the park is the Plaquemine beach with twisting branches which was landed in the middle of the 19th century. The landscape park of Mon Repos, founded in the 19th century, is carried to monuments of federal importance. In the depth of the park there is an Empire magnificent country house in which there lived Voltaire. The Milan Park represents the esplanade with lime avenues. On the outskirts of the park the cantonal botanical garden in which over 6,000 plants grow is located. It is called in honor of opening of a tunnel on the city of Milan at the beginning of the 20th century. The Valency Park was created on the project of the author of the Botanical Garden A. Lavrier in 1939. Shirokai Esplanade with avenues in the top part of the park is decorated by the fountain with a full statue. Bers Park, called by the name of its founder, ornithologist Louis Bers, was opened in 1920. At the initiative of his author in 1940 in the woody park the Birds Reserve was created. At Ushi Embankment the Denantu Parks, opened for public in 1929, an Olympic with its numerous sculptures and the fountain at an entrance to the park are located. In the neighborhood with Olympic the Elysiski Park is located. The desert park on the western outskirts of the city decorates a pond in the form of the channel which was created at the end of the 18th century by the Father B. Constana, inspired by Stay in Holland. Montbanan Esplanade, which appeared in the finished type in 1984, is located in the downtown opposite to the Palace of Justice of the same name overlooking the lake and mountains. In summertime festivals and concerts in the open air here are held. The promenade of Derrière at St. Francis Square is decorated by arches from a green hedge and a vertical flower tapestry. Mercier's Promenade, called in honor of the patron, contains over 350 species of trees, among which in the South American araucarias. In Lausanne, chestnut horse meat, red grows. Plane tree, also plane tree east. The maple is a cutifoliate field, silvery, a yaver. The linden is fine-leaved, large-leaved, Euchlora, silvery, European is more rare the American. Cedar of Atlaskaya, Himalaya, Lebanese. Pine ordinary, Austrian. Green hedges are formed by bushes of a box, a hawthorn, a cornel, a guelder rose, a honeysuckle. Garden center of Bourdanet in city flower beds, 250 species of ornamental plants, 650,000 units of seedling annually land. In a garden at the area of the General Gizon lands more than 130 species of roses. For the period 19, the beginning of the 21st centuries in communication by human activity in the territory of the city disappeared 299 species of local flora. 88 bird species, 6 of which are included in the red list, nest in city boundaries. Pigeons give trouble to municipal economy because of a down congestion on buildings and constructions. For control of population of pigeons in the city, 3 dovecots where feeding of birds is allowed are equipped. Within the city, the cemeteries of Buadiwa are openly in 1922, and Mantua is opened in 1972. Located at distance of 200 m from each other work. 2 other cemeteries work in suburbs Montauran and Belize, Chêleblanc. Buadiwa is considered one of the most beautiful cemeteries of Switzerland, is located near Lake Geneva. The largest cemetery of Lausanne contains about 26,000 burials. It was open after at old cemeteries in Salaz and Pontas at the beginning of the 20th century. There is no empty seat left for burial. The authorities bought the land under the new cemetery and announced competition on its arrangement, which won against the project of the architect Alphonse Laverier, inspired by the Parisian cemetery Père Lachaise. Other known projects of the author: Bellows Tower, the building of Federal Court and a facade of the railway station. Laverier directed the cemetery device till 1951. Buadiwa represents a park zone with reservoirs, the Lime Avenue, cypresses, ranks of trees and bushes in which birds and proteins live. Famous people, including the founder of the modern Olympic movement Pierre de Coubertin and the French fashion designer Coco Chanel, are buried in the cemetery. The first crematorium in Lausanne, it was opened in 1909 in Mantua, where it continues to work and until now. In 2011, 97% of the dead were cremated and only 3% are betrayed to burial. The city in painting. Many works of landscape painting at which the city appears in focus of the ancient site surrounded with rural areas, vineyards, the woods and Lake Geneva are devoted to Lausanne. Sometimes the city appears on a background. In pictures it is possible to meet a rural landscape and the untouched nature of river valleys Flona and Luva. At the end of the 18th century, the English aquarellist Francis Dam, the writer-traveller César de Saussure painted pictures. In the 19th century, the Swiss artists Johann Ludwig Bleyler, Charles Henry Arthur Herzog, Louis Albert Ghiselin, Victor Jean-Baptiste of Petit created. French artists Jean-Baptiste Camille Corot, François Bonnet, lithographer Auguste Victor Darrow, Napoleon Bakel Dolb's cartographer. English artists William Henry Bartlett, William Turner, Richard Henry Wright, Albert Goodwin, John Dobbin, Nathanael Everett Green. German artists Friedrich Wilhelm Moritz, Franz Abresch, Karl Morgenthaler. Dutch artist Matthijs Maris, Danish artist Henriette Ronner-Knipp. The lithographer Jean Du Bois in 1840 published a collection under the name Memories of Lausanne. Charles François Villem imprinted medieval remains of the city, leaving on his eyes in the works of the end of the 19th century. In 1896 the artist published historical notes about the city, and in 1889 an album, Old Lausanne. At the beginning of the 20th century pictures were painted by the English artist Charles Rubotam. To Lausanne, Switzerland. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.